Hello everyone, welcome to the movie review on Wadi Media. Kindly subscribe to this channel, like, share, and drop your comments. Today we talk about 1245. The Winlows Production. The movie was released to YouTube on the 10th of December 2020 and the movie duration is about 1 hour, 10 minutes, 41 seconds. The first scene, which also serves as the prologue to the movie, introduces us to a lady who is obviously in panic, seeking for refuge, and the clock ticks on 12:45 a.m. The soundtrack that brings us into the movie proper is not business as usual, not the usual background music we're used to. The whole movie storyline happened in one day. At 10:20 a.m., the couple prepares themselves to go for counseling over an urgent marital issue from their spiritual father. The couple, whom we later got to know as Fred and Sharon, are a young couple who were brought in the ministry. Fred is a pastor and so is Sharon. Their urgent marital issue turned out to be that Fred, the pastor, finds it difficult to set boundaries with sisters in the church. He is a father to all, who picks daughters' call at all hours. Sharon won't have any of that. Pastor Fred, the counselor.
I'm really trying my best. Since the last time we talked about this whole matter, I've really improved. It's just that my wife is overreacting. Bishop, she's unnecessarily jealous.
Unnecessarily? Yes, I'm jealous. And I have every right to be. Sir, these ladies are so many. Even my jealousy is confused. Today it's Doris Ostry, tomorrow is Chichi and Evangelism, next tomorrow is Cynthia Choir, there's Linda, there's Grace, there's Emanuela. He recently added Folashade new convert to the list. They call him at will any time of day. I'm really tired. Do you know my husband could be in the toilet at 3 a.m. counseling a lady?
Bishop, those ladies are my spiritual daughter.
Fred believes Sharon is overreacting and unnecessarily jealous. How come Pastor Fred has only spiritual daughters? What happened to spiritual sons? How can you be counseling ladies at 3 a.m.? Just when Sharon thought it was over, counseling done, everything settled, in comes the great interruption from a spiritual daughter. Maybe because they just came out of counseling, he hesitated picking a call. Sharon snatched the phone from him to attend to the so-called spiritual daughter, but daughter refused to speak to her. She insisted on speaking to her spiritual father and hung up. How rude. What would you as a sister in the church want to discuss with your pastor and wouldn't consider talking to your pastor's wife why he is unable to pick? Ulterior motive. Yes. Sharon is leaving for Lagos on a preaching engagement which would last more than a day. After Fred dropped her off at the airport, it was 2:40 p.m. Fred is seen showing off his new church building to his pastor friend, equipment, musical instruments, and all, clearly showing that he is young in the ministry yet making waves already. Quite the envy of so many. At 4:05 p.m., Fred returned home. His house help came in to request for permission to travel, claiming his father died, a lie he has told before. That was some comic relief right there.
That is dead now.
And this one that is dead now is actually my spiritual father.
Oh, your spiritual father is dead?
Yes, sir.
So what am I to you?
Sir, you know, actually, you are a father. Let's not dispute that fact. You are a father, but just that you are physical. You are a father.
At 9:36 p.m., Fred is home alone, studying the Bible and trying to fix something to eat, but he ended up making a burnt offering. He puts a call through to his wife, and we got a hint that his wife was hardly at home, always on ministrations. While they were talking, she fell asleep over the phone, obviously exhausted. 12:45 a.m. We are drawn back to the lady in distress earlier on, but this time we see her before the distress putting a call across to a spiritual father at 12:45 a.m. Daughter just got into town. She's stranded and wants to pass the night at her father's tabernacle. Already she's 2 streets away from the house. She puts a call through to her friend while she finds her way to her pastor's house, and then we discovered daughter has been crushing on a fireboy pastor. Her friend has all the details, even though she claims to have stopped crushing. While still on the call, the men from the underworld appeared behind her and started pursuing her. They caught up with her and brutalized, drugged her, and raped her. By the time they were done, she got up already weak and bleeding and still found her way to her pastor's house. She got in without telling her pastor anything about what happened. She kept saying she was fine. His wife called him in the midst of everything. She had a revelation and asked him if he was alone, but he denied having company in the house, probably because of the counseling earlier in the day. After all, Cynthia will be gone in the morning. The unexpected happened. Cynthia, still traumatized, woke up and was trying to call pastor for help. As she was seriously bleeding, her voice was not loud enough to reach Fred in his room. She called her friend on the phone and all she could say was, "Pastor, rape." She passed out.
Hello? Pastor, rape. Your pastor raped you? Oh my god. Rape. Oh my god. Hello? Pastor. Hello? Cynthia, talk to me. Hello?
Fred woke up the following morning to meet her dead body on the floor. He didn't know what to do. He called his pastor friend, supposedly best friend. The friend turned out to be a Judas. He insinuated that Fred raped and killed her and tried to blackmail him. All the while, his supposed best friend has been envying him and his ministry. He came in with the police and called them in when Fred didn't yield to paying him. It became a scandal. Social media, radio, etc. Campaigns were made against him. No one believed him. Cynthia's friend already told the police Fred killed Cynthia.
The pastor in question, Pastor Fred, is not one of us. We do not know him, and we have never associated with him in any way. This is why we keep reminding and telling Christians that they should mind the kind of churches they attend. Pastors with integrity.
There were options he didn't take. There were unit heads in church. He could have contacted them to handle her. He didn't have to let her come over. Now, the wife even find it difficult to believe him based on his antecedents. We would easily deduce that Pastor Bolaji sponsored other girls to testify against Fred that he had raped them before in the church. He is hell-bent on destroying Fred, and the girls have demanded for a compensation of 30 million naira. While at it, he kept insisting Jesus will set him free. Then it turns out the whole episode was a revelation. A revelation that started right after taking his burnt offering and had a nap. He woke up at exactly 12:45 a.m. Guess whose phone call woke him up? Cynthia.
I'm innocent. I did not do it. I'm innocent. I'm innocent. I'm innocent. I'm innocent.
the call, and she repeated everything about being stranded and want to pass the night. Luckily for him, God already revealed to redeem. The moral lessons: not every scandal is a demonic attack. Scandals follow a lifestyle. If you don't put sentiment aside in ministry, you will end up praying for strength for what wisdom could have handled. You must always be sensitive as a minister and set boundaries. Carry your spouse along in everything you do. The movie has a practical storyline. The content, dialogue, casting, and lines delivery are excellent. The directing is equally excellent. The movie is recommended for young ministers, fellowship presidents, youth leaders, pastors, and everyone in a position of authority. Actors in the lead roles are Ohis Muyiwa Ojeikere as Fred, Anwinli Ojeikere as Cynthia, Lore Otonha Oluegbo as Sharon, Ese Osuma as Oma, Dr. Carl as Bolaji, and there are guest appearances in the movie including Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo and Bishop Wale Ajayi. The movie was produced by the Winlows. Thank you for joining today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Till we meet next time, remain blessed.